Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 279 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And this is our lost Thanksgiving episode. Tim and I both were under the weather. So I don't even know how. I don't know. Can you get a catch stuff through a podcast mic?
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you. I did not have COVID, but
yes,
yeah,
I did.
Brian did.
Tim
I did not have COVID, but I swear this was the closest to COVID I've had since I actually had COVID. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It was some kind of viral thing, and it's a respiratory thing, and it was terrible.
Yeah, and what's crazy is I actually had COVID, and I essentially had sniffles. You know, and Tim was like we should have been reversed.
Exactly.
With what happened. Like, I mean, I granted, yeah, I took the Paxlovid once I found out I got it, but by the time I got that, Julie went and picked the pills up for me and came back with them, I had already started feeling better, and literally I was just like, basically, if I didn't test that day I tested, would have avoided it, avoid knowing, and which would have been bad because it could have given.
I'm still fighting. I'm still on an antibiotic. I still kind of trying to get over it, but anyway.
But is his tone not as dulcet as they
I
are?
try,
Right?
Yeah,
they're always dulcet, no matter what.
It adds the congestion adds a certain timbre to my voice now, so enhancement.
It does.
Yeah, so we're calling this our Lost Thanksgiving episode because we had absolutely planned to release an episode last week. And we had, we were, then with everything with us getting sick and the holidays and everything, everything just fell through. So we said,
and Tim's birthday, belated birthday now for you. I posted something on Twitter to make sure the world knew.
Yeah, it was kind of I would say it's a bummer birthday because I had a great birthday. I had the family threw me a little party and everything, so it was wonderful in that respect. But it was also kind of not wonderful in the fact that I was sick the whole time, so I was like very exhausted the whole day, and I didn't feel like doing anything. So, but anyway, it beats.
I think this episode may make up for all that.
Yes.
We have a probably one of the coolest, most unusual episodes.
It's a very weird episode.
Just because of our guests.
So what we did is we decided we were going to, when we had planned to do this movie, which ties a little bit more in with last week because we're doing Black Friday, which is the traditional shopping day after Thanksgiving. So we had planned to kind of do that last week. And then when we had our special guests who are coming on, which kind of has a vague Thanksgiving feel to it.
It does. I mean, you could easily make it. This could, like I said, I actually said it. This could spurn the, is this a Thanksgiving movie debate? Like Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie?
So we figured, what, let's combine the two and we'll make our Lost Thanksgiving episode that you didn't get to hear.
Yeah. Hey, look, what's Thanksgiving ends at Thanksgiving? No, there's leftovers.
Exactly, this is the leftovers.
Right? I'm still eating leftovers this week.
One thing also, we'll mention for you guys that listen to our dismemberment, we totally dropped the ball on the last week of November, which was our big week. That was like 22 titles that were coming out. We dropped the ball, but when we record our December dismemberment, we'll just run back through them real quick. We won't go through the extras and everything. We'll just kind of list them out, so you'll kind of have that list.
Yeah, that was another victim of the illness, in all
it
honesty, because we just the week we needed to record, Tim's voice actually was not.
No, unless you wanted to hear me like hacking my way through 22 Blu-ray releases, you probably didn't want to hear.
Yeah, and then the alternative was hearing me that whole time.
They'll be like the opposite of ASMR kind of thing. So anyway, so let's get right into it.
Oh wait, but should we announce our?
I was going to leave it up
yet, or
it's not a surprise because we already promoted it. I think it's
true.
Our guest is one we were super delighted to have on, not horror related, but
although we do talk horror,
we do
get
talk
some horror talk,
not horror related, but because Brian and I are such huge fans. And this is our podcast, so we can bring whoever we want to on it.
Yes,
just for our amusement. We brought in the legendary Toasters and Moose of Taste the Biscuit fame, which went completely viral on TikTok recently. I had known about the video for years, at least the clip from Chickens in the Shadows, which is where the clip came from, the full movie. But I had known about it for years, so I was super excited. And then Brian, through his myriad connections, was able to get us in
Yeah.
touch with Estelle and Tom, and they are on the show, and it was a absolutely wonderful, fun interview. That
It was so much fun with it. They are like as awesome as you would imagine they would be, and I can't wait till you guys hear it. And it's a good, nice interview. They got a good long interview, which is fun. We had a great time.
yeah. So
talking
even though
with
it's
them.
not horror related, I think you guys are just going to enjoy it because they're just wonderful people. Like they really. It was just a fun interview. Just people talking about comedy and horror and all that. So it was great. So anyway, let's get right into it. This is our first chop. All right, Brian. So we both got to watch. I mean, me being sick, obviously, I got to watch a lot of stuff. So let's kind of go back and forth and talk about what we watched over the break.
Okay, so I'll start with the first one because this is probably one of the biggest releases right now, and that's Thanksgiving. Of course, the Eli Roth vehicle horror movie, and that was one. It was like teased as like almost like a joke back in what was it? What was that movie? Grindhouse. Right? It was in with the trailer. Yeah. So, but now he actually made it, and that's like it's like a big, nice big slasher for the holidays, and oh my god. It was basically, I think Emily was talking about, she said it was the opposite of Anticipation, and I agree, because not only was it, I exceeded my expectations. It was so much fun. It was great to see it with, it wasn't a big crowd, but it was a lively crowd for the small people, amount of people that were in it. I mean, we saw it on a Saturday before Thanksgiving. That's a tough, that weekend is tough to kind of get out. And, but we were lucky. We were able to grab some seats, nice seats for it. So we went, and oh my god, even Julie loved it. She's not a huge fan of slashers. She likes horror movies, but even she was like enjoying it and like laughing at sequences and just like overall just really going. And it was it was one of those movies that like I love it because it's getting all this like Fox News picked up on it, about with the next movie I'm going to talk about too. They both like made a big thing on it, which basically they don't realize they just gave it free publicity, and those who are on the fence now are going to go rush to see it. So basically, as typical anything Fox News in quotes does, it backfires horrendously in their face. And so, because this movie and the next movie I'm going to talk about is awesome. But yeah, but definitely, if you get a chance to go see Thanksgiving while it's in the theaters, go see it. They already announced today, actually, as we're recording this, a sequel, which is awesome because, like, I think once you see this movie, Eli Roth just does such a good job, and there's so many nods to like other like horror movies in there, which it's Eli Roth. Of course, you're gonna get that in there, and it just shows that he's like a fan of horror when he makes his movies, and so like when that comes across that way, you always get like such a good product. So I give that like full recommend. Next one I saw, we got a screener for. It comes out when you're listening to this. It's already been out on Shudder on Friday night, and that is It's a Wonderful Knife, which of course is like a horror movie version of It's a Wonderful Life. And it's getting a lot of, again, like, they use the word moral decay as part of this because there happens to be same-sex couples in there that, and, Fox News, where they had a whole big problem with that. But let me tell you, this movie is instantly up in one of my favorite holiday horror movies ever. It's that good. It is so good. It's written great. It's done right. Justin Long, my God, that guy, like, he should be in everything they can find a space for him in. It's like just one of these things that it's like you instantly get caught up in it. It's just such a fun movie. Like I wish I got I know it was playing in the theaters. We got the screener, but I would have loved to see it in the theater with a crowd. It would have been so much fun. But it was, oh my God, I love the movie. I love the characters. I love everything about it. It's like I even like tweeted at the because they said like something about how this would ruin the holidays. They said on Fox News, and I said I actually retweeted it at the writer or the director. I said, you know what? If this is what ruined the holiday, then ruin my holiday every year because this movie is incredible. I can't instantly. This will be one of these ones where I watch it every year for the holidays. It's that good, Tim. I can't wait till you watch it and hear what you think about it because I know everyone that's seen it so far is pretty much in agreement. Anyone that I know that I've talked to has seen it.
I'm probably gonna watch it this weekend. I watched Anna and I kind of got into a little routine over the holiday of watching a movie every night, And one of the ones we watched was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre she had never seen. And I figured,
Nice.
that was pretty safe because there's actually no sex in it. I don't think there's no nudity in it. And there's very little gore. Most people don't, that's kind of like a common trivia horror thing that Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually has very little gore, which it does. So I thought, that's actually not a bad horror movie to show, Anna. And she did not like it. she thought it was boring. Yeah, she did.
Oh no, maybe she got to play the game.
Yeah, she did not. She was like, I think she had like hyped herself up like this classic movie, and I'm telling her like, oh, this is one of my top 5 horror movies of all time, and she's like so like revved up. But then when I watched it, I was kind of watching it through her eyes, and I could kind of see where it's got a very slow pace to it. I mean, it doesn't seem like that way on the surface because they get right into the house and everything. But you don't get a whole lot of, the body count's not huge, and there's not a lot that's actually shown. Again, going back to the lack of gore, so there's not a lot that's actually shown, and I think she picked up on that. But one thing she did agree on was that Franklin is the most annoying character ever. So,
I was gonna say, where's she stand?
She at least Franklin got that correct, but I think she was expecting kind of like this more extreme, more graphic thing, and when she didn't get that, it kind of let her down. But she doesn't have the history, and she hasn't seen enough horror films to understand its impact and that kind of stuff. So I can kind of understand from a younger generation perspective why. But she did like it enough that she wants to see the others. Like she wants to see the sequel, she wants to see the remake. Those I'm gonna have.
Oh God, she may regret.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to screen those a little bit too because those have got some. Those definitely went a little more graphic, so I'm gonna have to screen.
Yeah, well, the second one definitely had that sexual aspect with the certain sscenes there on the.
So I'm gonna probably have to hold off on those, but she's at least expressed interest in the franchise in general. So, but anyway, getting back, I didn't mean to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was really wanting to talk about Dark Harvest. Is the one I watched.
Yeah, I want to see this one.
This one was, I had heard a lot of good buzz about it, and I kind of wish I had watched it closer to Halloween because it has such a great Halloween vibe to it. And it's a really neat premise. The premise is that there's this town, and this takes place like in the 60s, 50s, 60s, somewhere there. And there's this little town, and every year this being spawns out of the cornfield, which is like this pumpkin head man. And all the kids in town have to hunt it down and kill it so that their crops and everything will be good for the next year.
Oh, was this the one that was filmed and it got stuck for a while?
I think so, yeah.
Or something, and it then finally got released. I remember us discussing that but it was at one point in the.
Yeah, but it was a really cool premise because they have, and this thing can kill you like crazy. It's like a demon thing, so it can like kids get murdered in this as they're trying to hunt this thing down. But the person who hunts it down gets this huge prize. The person that finally kills it gets a new car, and they get all this money, and they're lavished with praise and all this stuff. So there's a incentive.
It's like a reverse Running Man.
So there's this incentive to go out and hunt this thing, and you're kind of expected to even the parents are pushing the kids out the door, go hunt it. It's just a thing in the town. So really neat premise. And the thing that really sets the movie apart is it's got some really super cool kills in it. Really good gore, really good effects. The creature design is cool. I love the premise, so definitely check out Dark Harvest. It's kind of it checks all the boxes, Brian, of this kind of movies we like, which is good effects, good gore, good creature, good Halloween vibe. I mean, all that stuff. I think you're going to really like it.
Nice. Yeah, no, this is one I definitely wanted to see. I kind of forgot about it because I think it did get held up or something. And I remember, and then when you mentioned it, didn't even dawn on me that was the one we were waiting for. And then now that you did it. Speaking of checking all the boxes, this next one that I saw, and of course you've seen a while. I was the last in our group, a little horror group there to see it. And that was Evil Dead Rise. That was when I was pretty much the first day when I was laying in bed when I found out I had COVID. I was well, I can't really be out there with everybody. I guess I'll catch up on some horror I haven't seen. So that's when I watch a bunch of this stuff. And so I put on Evil Dead Rise, and that, oh my God, that is like a perfect Evil Dead film. I mean, and at first it's funny how they tease that it's going to be another one like kind of out in a cabin, kind of a the thing in there, the opening, but then it kind of goes into this like creepy like apartment building essentially, and I kind of dig that vibe. I kind of like that because it kind of brings the Evil Dead like lore into like kind of more everyday things, like you're not necessarily, they still find a way to make you feel isolated,
right.
and but still it's like in a more modern
like
setting
I
than like an old
it wasn't
cabin
like
in the
rehashing the same movie over and over again. And
yeah,
I didn't get the criticism like, oh, it's not an Evil Dead movie because it doesn't have Bruce Campbell in it. I was like, you can explore the lore of a movie without the main without Bruce Campbell. He did Ash versus Evil Dead, which I thought was like giving fans as much as he possibly could of more Ash that you could possibly ask anybody to give. I am perfectly fine, and I love Bruce Campbell to death, but I am perfectly fine having Evil Dead movies without Ash in them. Like,
yeah, he doesn't. He's look. You're not taking anything away from him by not putting him in a movie. The guy has done plenty of Evil Dead, okay? His presence is there whether he's in it or not. You don't need him in there physically to know he's embodied that franchise. So he's there. You know what? You can feel him there. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he's down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it because they still captured all the fun stuff I love.
There's great little nods in there to the other films.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and the performance, and like nobody's like everyone could be there's not one person that's like totally safe in this movie. Even that little girl is like getting like chased down, and it's just like it's so over the top good, it's like, and I was like, wow, you know what, they need to continue this like this style of Evil Dead from now on. Keep going with these kind of things. Like you said, the lore is there. Let's keep going with the lore. Like other places where the book could come out. You never know. It's endless. The possibilities are truly endless. If now that they've already kind of like taken away the cabin in the woods and Ash out of the equation, now you can go anywhere and let them go anywhere. I mean, I didn't really watch Ash versus Evil Dead. Yeah, it's one of those big missing gaps in my watch thing that I need to catch up on one day and just binge it, which I plan to. Every so often they have the Blu-ray set like for sale.
It's worth it. It's very good. Like, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab it next time and then binge it. Next thing I watched, talk about franchises, and this is crazy because like, okay, we haven't had a real. I mean like licensed studio production of a Friday the 13th movie, but they have some of the best fan films for a franchise ever. I mean, they are incredible. Like the Peter Anthony one, Roseblood that we saw, and we had them on for the Vengeance 1 and 2. I've seen some other ones, and then of course the Never Hike Alone series, which they had Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow. They had a Never Hike Alone like super cut kind of thing. And then this one came out, the most recent one, Never Hike Alone 2, and this one may be maybe my favorite fan film yet. It's cool because it has a lot of like basically Tommy is back in it, and it's like, and so he's basically like trying to, and the deputy from part 6 is in there again, and he's like doesn't believe him, the bang that guy, and so he's in it and he still doesn't believe him, and he's the sheriff in the town. And it's just it's so good because it captures like all the stuff you love about Friday the 13th, like, and it's so well done. Like the Jason in this is like kind of, it almost starts off like a slow burn and then but just becomes relentless, and it's just it keeps the gore, it keeps the franchise alive, and it's just it's so good because it's like while we're waiting for a studio Friday like if they don't make another one, I might be okay with it. I mean, as much as I love them, it's like if they keep want to churning out fan films, people want to keep doing this, go right ahead. And of course, the fact that they got Tom Matthews to replay his role, and then Vincent Gustafaro, which is the Sheriff Rick, who's now is Deputy Rick in the Part 6. He was great in it. And actually, Laura Marie Taylor has a voice in it. She has a voice
that's
role
cool.
in it, which are our good buddy Laura Marie Taylor. And they also have Larry Zerner. Of course, Shelley from Part 3. He plays a mayor in a sequence.
Cool.
And Tracy Savage plays herself. Remember, she was in Part 3, but she was a real news anchor at one point, so she plays a news anchor in this as well. So they do a great job. And it was directed by Vincente DeSanti again. And he's just really does a great job with these Never Hike Alone. And he did, he helped work on Fanboy also. So it's just a lot of love of the franchise put into these films. And so that I can't recommend. And this one's free on YouTube again, so there's no reason not to check this out when you get a chance. I think it's got a decent running time. It's not overly long, so you can easily fit it in. Actually, I'm trying to pull up the exact running time for you. Yeah, 1 hour and 13 minutes. So it's nice and doable if you just want to fit it in one evening. So it's really good.
Nice. The next one, speaking of the opposite of really good, the next one up on my list.
I was excited for this, and now I don't. From everything I've heard between you and Ken, I don't
this is Spirit Halloween, the movie. This one I had avoided because of the bad reviews. But again, I'm looking for stuff to watch with Anna, and she's wanting to watch horror, and I'm like, this one should be perfectly safe because it's definitely kid oriented. And this one, the basic plot is these kids decide on Halloween they're kind of bored with trick or treating because they're kind of outgrowing it, so they decide they're gonna sneak into this like suddenly appearing Spirit Halloween store that came out of nowhere, kind of, and it's kind of like in this abandoned part of town. They're going to sneak in and spend the night in there, which I told Anna is like a kind of a dumb idea because that would be like the most boring thing. Like, after you got in there, like what are you going to do? Just sit there? But anyway,
like you could be anywhere.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so they decide to sneak into this Spirit Halloween, and which they do, and as it turns out, the Spirit Halloween is haunted by Christopher Lloyd, who I love Christopher Lloyd, but oh my God, this was not a good role for him. But he's like this ghost of this, I don't even remember the storyline, the ghost of somebody that used to own the land or something. Who knows? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, and this ghost can basically jump into the animatronics and possess them and chase the kids around, and then at some point his older sister like finds out where they're at, and she finds out, and so she sneaks in and she gets trapped in there with them, and so now they're battling this ghost thing. The problem with this movie is multiple. Number one, it's just a big commercial for Spirit Halloween, so it's kind of lame in that regard. Number two is that the writing is terrible. Even for a kid's movie, I think the writing is terrible. Christopher Lloyd, bless his heart, like I don't know, I just felt like he was too old for this role. Like he's just like bumbling around. It was embarrassing. And even Anna, who I thought maybe Anna's going to enjoy this on some like kid level. Even she said this movie was awful. Like she didn't even enjoy it on a kid level. And in fact, I described it as a Goosebumps episode, but the difference being that Goosebumps is actually good. So it's like if a Goosebumps episode was terrible. That's what this movie was.
That's like hard to
do,
I
know. It was I don't know. It was really, really bad. Like we went quickly from watching it to hate watching it and basically ridiculing everything on the screen. So there you go. No love for Spirit Halloween, the movie. I love the store still.
Yeah, the store is still great. So next one I saw, I'm only gonna briefly talk about this one because we're actually going to talk about this in a later date. But that was the Adams latest film, Where the Devil Roams, which was a festival darling. It was winning awards all over, getting up, and anything that they do, you've already got my attention because I've loved all the things I've seen from them. Deeper You Dig, Hellbender, of course, and we had them on to discuss it, and I just love them so much, so I'll watch anything they give me. And this one, a lot of people, were praising this, so I was like, I went in with high expectations, and it easily met it. I still don't know where it ranks, but because I love all their films so much, I don't know. If you ask me where to rank it with the other two, because it's kind of different than the other, I don't know where to rank it. It's like I have a hard time because they're so like each one is done in its own cool way. But this one, first of all, it's a very big Us premise, Tim. It's about like they're basically this family that's like on a traveling sideshow that's like kind of, and they're murderers. So it's like it's right there already. It's kind of got like our, we love the circus stuff, we love the sideshow stuff, and it's just I don't know. It's really hard for me to not look at a movie of them and love it and not love it, because I just think they're so talented filmmakers. They're talented actors and actresses. And it's it's like one of these movies that like I think I could see some people, it may not be for everybody, but it's like my cup of tea for sure. And I loved it. And I think you'll love it too. It's got, it's very, very Addams. Like in their type of style, which is great. I think you'll really enjoy it, Tim. Next, but like I said, there's a future episode, which is the reason why I'm being a little short on that one. Not that I want to, because I could talk a lot about it because I loved a lot of stuff in there, but. Again, for later episode. Anyway, but then I saw this other one. It's another screener we got, and I apologize because I was supposed to review this on an episode a couple of episodes ago, but then our episodes kept getting delayed, and so and then we had different little mini-sodes, and we really didn't have our usual format, and then we got sick. And this one was called Boy Makes Girl. It's more of a science fiction. It's not really horror, but we were sent the screener, so I wanted to review it. And I actually tell you, it was really good. It was the lead actor in this, and it was so good. And basically, what it's about an autistic man who's just lost his mother, and he basically, he's this like super like genius with robotics and math. He works for like NASA, but also like partly the NRA, doing like there's some computer stuff with them. And he's such a nice guy that it like doesn't like fit that he's working for like the NRA kind of thing. But he plays. So he decides to basically he has these sessions with his like that he created virtually with his therapist as a child, and he basically recreates her in robotic form. And that's all I'll tell you because in terms of that storyline, but like the actor's name is Mark Elias. And he is so good. I mean, he plays very, because he's autistic. He has trouble communicating. He has like a very like regimented life the way he goes through. But he takes over like his mom. His mom was a caretaker that would go visit an elderly person, which was played like to perfection by Paul Dooley. Like I haven't seen him in something in so long, and he is so good. Like this is like best supporting actor level of like awards that he should have gotten, and he'll probably get buried because I don't know if this movie is going to be known enough for him to get the attention it deserves. Both these actors, in all honesty, and he's like this grumpy old miser man, and they become like friends in a weird way, while he ends up having this like trying to have this relationship with his robotic therapist, and it's just. But it's like it's like really like it's definitely more sci-fi drama, but then it's not horror in any way. But it's still just a really good film. I think because the performances are so strong in it, and you really get yourself invested in the characters, even the quote unquote robotic therapist one, because she develops like it's like basically. I mean, not to spoil it, but basically he's programmed her so well that she learns and outdoes her programming no matter what he tries to do. So basically, it basically kind of shows just how out of control his world is constantly, and it's a good like parallel to what he's going through in just in life in general, that he can't, basically learns that he has trouble controlling everything. But really good movie. You should check it out, Tim. We still have the screener in there. But it's also on Tubi now for anyone else wants to check it out. So you can go check it out for free. But yeah, so definitely check that one out too. It's Boy Makes Girl.
The last one here on my list was we watched 3 movies. That was and I'm a little late.
Oh, you hadn't seen this yet, right?
I was a little late to the party. I'd seen the first one when it first came out, but I'd not watched the other 2. And Anna wanted to see these. This was the Fear Street trilogy, which came out in 2021.
I love these.
Yeah, that came out. The first one was 1990, Fear Street 1994, which takes place in the 90s, obviously. The sequel goes back in time to 1978 and tells the story of some of the adults in the first movie when they were younger. And then the last part of the trilogy is Fear Street 1666, which goes even further back in time and tells kind of like the origin stories of the witch, who's the center point of this entire franchise. These are so great, like gateway horror movies. Like
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Kind of gives me the same vibe as Stranger Things. I would say they're even a little bit more kid friendly than Stranger Things. And I absolutely loved them. I loved them. I thought in terms of ranking them, I really, I think, I don't know, it's hard for me to rank them. I thought the third one was excellent though, because it not only goes back in time to the 1600s, and the same actors from the original movie kind of play 1600s versions of themselves, which I also thought was cool. But it also then it's almost like two movies in one, because it goes from the 1600s and then jumps back to the 90s to finish the entire trilogy up, which was great.
Right,
yeah.
And that's what I liked. And I didn't expect that we were going to do that when I was watching it. Because I watched them all as they were released. Julie and I watched each one because I'm like, we got to watch it.
Yeah, it's got a great story to it. It's got a great mystery to it. I mean, the characters are really good. I have nothing bad to say about this one. I had a blast with it. And I learned, because Anna was instantly like, I want more. I learned they are actually planning a fourth movie. So,
yes, I was going to say that. It's just called, right now it's just called Fear Street 4. That's all they have. And it's in development. That's it. But I wish they would keep making these. I you know what it is? What I loved about it is I loved it, when I saw it when it first came out, it was like this event. Back when they used to have cool mini series on regular television, except this is on cable and you could do a lot more. And it was an event. It was a cool thing how you were you knew you were getting 3 parts and you didn't have to wait very long for them either. It was every 2 weeks. And it was just, oh my God, it was such a cool premise to begin with. Cool storyline. You can invest in the characters. I loved all the characters in it. It just there wasn't a boring sequence in it. It was just all so good and so neat how they tied it.
I can't recommend that series. I mean, most people have probably already seen it because it's been out a couple of years. But if you haven't, don't be like me and sleep on the 2 sequels, because the whole trilogy as a whole is just fantastic. All right, so now it's time to talk about our featured film of the episode, which was Black Friday from 2021. It was directed by Casey Thibault, starring Kim and Ket's favorite Devon Sawa as Ken, Avada Vaquero as Marnie, Ryan Lee as Chris, Stephen Peck as Brian, Michael Jai White as Archie, Bruce Campbell as Jonathan, Louis Kurtzman as Emmett, and Celeste Olivia as Anita. A group of toy store employees must protect each other from a horde of parasite-infected shoppers. And I remember this movie fell off my radar because I remember wanting to see it when it came out, obviously because of Bruce Campbell. And then I totally forgot about it until we were looking for movies to do for this episode, and I can't remember which one of us stumbled across.
I think it was you.
Yeah, I
you
stumbled across it or something. I saw it listed somewhere in holiday. I was looking up Thanksgiving movies. That's what I was doing, and this one was listed. Not quite Thanksgiving because it's a Black Friday movie, but close enough. And I was like, oh man, I really wanted to see this one because of Bruce Campbell. And I had a lot of fun with this one. This is definitely a very Bruce Campbell movie. It definitely has that vibe.
You know what it is? He's obviously a different kind of, he's a combo of typical Bruce Campbell and a kind of a softer side of Bruce Campbell, like
an older mellowed Bruce Campbell. Yeah, he definitely had that vibe too.
But he's just so good at whatever he does. You know what? I could literally watch him in like a carpentry documentary and probably. Yeah, I really like. I love the whole.
Because I used to work retail. I worked at Walmart during the holidays in the layaway section, which was the absolute worst job you could probably ever have. So I totally could sympathize with these poor toy store employees who are just dreading the Black Friday crowd and the public, and they're just, which to their credit, they actually probably handled it better than I did in real life because they seemed to at least put on a show of being loyal company employees. But I did like that part of the movie because I could definitely sympathize. But in this case, as the synopsis showed, some of the customers who come in for Black Friday are actually infected with something. And then now you've got, I wouldn't say a zombie. It's almost more of a, when you hear infection, your mind instantly leaps to zombie. I wouldn't say more zombie, but more like creature infection.
Yeah, they were more and like a
Yeah,
symbiotic thing
That's
where
a
they
good-
like were forming together like a horde, like a kind of more closer to like the Last of Us kind of thing, but not with that kind of thing. But like it has sometimes they would blend
Yeah,
together, like the creatures
yeah,
like that. But yeah, it was definitely I was like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh god, is this a zombie? But it's definitely not. It's zombie-esque because anytime people think like a creature that tries to bite you and then you turn is. But I mean, what? Like you catch many diseases that way, so I don't know why that like became like synonymous with only zombies. You could like shoot if I had a disease and I came and bit you, the odds are you
yes,
might get it depending on the type of disease. So like, to me it's like I didn't consider this a zombie film at all. More Alien than
oh
anything,
yeah.
really.
I
But
could definitely see the alien angle for sure. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, but yeah, what was great about it is like you had like the typical like kind of characters. You had like that one like the little nerdy like guy in there that was like you knew was gonna gonna be in the midst of everything right away, and you had the almost the Van Wilder type, like Devon Sawa, who is awesome in it. But if like Ryan Reynolds came in, it was like Ryan Reynolds and character in Waiting. It was kind of like that. But Devon Sawa though, it's so funny because we've seen Devon Sawa in like all his forms so far, by like as a young child actor, a teen child actor, an adult actor, and he's nailed every single level of it. He's so good in this. He's like as far as I'm concerned, I want just him to keep being in our movies because he's so good and he's great. Obviously in the Chucky series now, he's got a whole new resurgence, and it's I like when like that longevity of like actors that can do that. Like he's not in like 5 million things, but he just keeps doing things that are enjoyable.
yeah.
It's like he like picks his
He's a
projects
working
really
actor.
well.
I like working actors. Yeah, they just keep a steady paycheck and they keep doing stuff that they like to do. And yeah, I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, and Bruce Campbell like nails the nerdy company store man over. It's almost to the point of where he becomes so sympathetic. Like he's kind of like an ass, but like when you the more he's revealed, you realize it comes from a place of like he's just a lonely guy, and
this job is his life. Yeah, this job is his life, and and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's one of those things like at first you're thinking like the typical like mean boss guy. That's a typical first impression. But yeah, like you said, as you go on, you realize like this is his world. That's why it's so important to him, and that's why he wants it to be so important. And I thought they did a great job. I mean, obviously they knew who they cast. They knew they cast Bruce Campbell. So there are some very maybe not so subtle nods to Ash in this. Definitely.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was great. I will tell you the biggest surprise I had with this movie is I really expected something more on the. I mean, I know it's got Bruce Campbell in it, but I expected more kind of like on the low budget scale. Like I kind of figured like it was just kind of a, I mean, you could do a parasitic infection movie in a toy store with a relatively modest budget, I would think. But this movie gets very ambitious without giving anything away. It gets pretty ambitious as it goes along. So, which I thought was really surprising. That was one of the big highlights of the movie for me is how bigger in scope it gets.
Yeah, and what's funny? It's like I know Bruce Campbell's so goofy all the time, but like some of his acting chops really came through in this one. Believe it or not, like that one sequence where he's like, he goes, "You may call me crazy, but I really love this place," and he's sitting there, and like when they're all eating the turkey. Like pieces of, and like he's telling, and he's just rambling off these like Black Friday facts that like only like that kind of a character would know, and he's just, there's something about it. Like he's like, it's like, how he like, you could tell there's like, in his own way, he cares for all the people.
Oh yeah.
Like that's his, and he says it, he goes, "It's my family here." And it's like, and like, and it's like, you could tell like the other characters kind of like get it finally, and it's weird that this movie, you could find a little bit of heart in this movie. You wouldn't expect to find like an ounce of it, but there's a little bit in there.
I alluded to like, the hating your job portion of retail. This is gonna be hard to explain maybe, but even when you hate your job, maybe because of the public and the customer stuff, there's also like there's a little sense of loyalty there to the company, like just inherently because they're the ones that give you your paycheck. And so like there's this, you could tell there was kind of that, like they like you said, they were kind of getting it, and there's, even when they're complaining, there's also, you could tell like there's just a little bit of loyalty. Like one of the guys that's been there like 8 years or whatever. Like even though they not necessarily love their job or like their job even, there's still like this sense of loyalty to the company and sense of loyalty to their customers kind of thing that comes through. So like you said, there's this like sheen of heart over this movie that I did not expect at all, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that, like, right, like when I worked at a similar type of store. It was like you said, Walmart. It was called Payless. It was a California chain. They were actually eventually bought out by Rite Aid. So picture like a Rite Aid type of store, but it had like a toy aisle, it had bedding, it had like every kind of thing, but it was in a smaller scale than a Walmart. I remember the big sales that they'd have was like always they'd have these things where those little cans of Vienna sausages, they'd have like 10 for $1 sales. And I remember I was like, I was register, I was in the back, I was doing a bunch of different things. But like I remember at that point it was like all hands on deck because we had to keep rolling out pallets of these freaking Vienna sausages, which I finally tried one once, and while it's edible, don't understand the people that were literally buying like so much of it that like, I mean, I guess 10 for $1 though, if you can make a little sandwich out of the meat in there, it's pretty good way to stretch your food dollar. But my point is like, it's like I made a lot of friends there. And I remember when I left to move back to New York again, I left there and, everyone was like, they came to like this like, goodbye party we kind of had for me and everything. And then like about a month later, I got like 2 postcards in the mail that they sent from the photo department there, and it was like everybody in the store was like writing me things on like how you doing, or that's how we miss you here. It's not the same. It's and all this stuff, and I'm just like, wow, it's you don't realize how sometimes how you touch people and how they've touched you, like at the moment. And I thought like what you said, like I should have said this back then, but I wanted to get this out. But it's kind of like what you said back then. It's like you there's this like camaraderie about the how they nailed that aspect of working at a retail store. And if you haven't worked at one, you may miss a lot of those.
Yeah. I think if you've worked retail, this definitely speaks to you in a different way than maybe if you haven't. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie. It's a movie I could see myself watching around Thanksgiving time every year. Like, it's an easy one to pop on in the background or just throw it on if you want to watch something. It's like I could see it being like eventually coming to be like one of my comfort movies that I like throw on at nighttime. As I'm trying to go to bed just to watch. It's like because it's fun. And I like the characters. I like the cast.
Yeah. It's solid.
It's one of those movies that did a good job.
Yeah, it's exactly what it wanted to be, and I think it did what it wanted to be, set out to be perfectly. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yep. I guess really not much more to say about it. So I guess we'll move on to the beer pairing, which I actually found one here. So I got a beer called Black Friday, and it's Black Friday 2023 because each year they kind of make their own version of this Black Friday beer, and it's from Lakefront Brewery out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this is a strong beer. This is 14%. Yeah. So it's a Black Friday Imperial Stout. It's aged in bourbon barrels. You already got me there. I love, oh my God, aged in bourbon barrel stouts. I love it. It combines massive caramel and roasted malts with huge vanilla and oak flavor. Available only at the brewery, so you can only get this there. So I kind of broke the little trend of like having to easily get the beer, but they said until it's gone on Black Friday, so it's like one of those like only that day.
It's one people line up for, yeah.
Yeah, like the Pliny the Younger kind of thing, which I'm already prepping for when it comes out in February. I'm gonna get my hands on it this year. I will get my hands on Pliny the Younger this year. Whether Julie and I already have like our contingency plan because the local place gets it near us, and they told me like how it works. They basically announce it, and then like if you got to like, get down there right away because they're usually gone in a few hours. But good news is it's like 5 minutes
you'll
away
get it
for me, so I can get there. And I told Julie, I said if when I find out, you just got to leave work immediately at that point, and even if I have to go there, order the beer, and just like hover over it until you get there. But yeah, so I guess we'll finish off the episode after, but I guess we should, this is a perfect time for our awesome interview.
Yeah. So we, like we said at the top of the show, we had the privilege of interviewing the fantastic Toasters and Moose, which is...
yes. Estelle, Piper, and Tom Shaw.
Yes.
Their real names there. Even though, like, to me, they're always going to be Toaster and Moose. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
But, again... not horror related, but this was this is a viral video that I've loved for years. Brian was recently introduced to it and absolutely loved. Then we watched the Chickens in the Shadows movie, which is free on YouTube. The clip came from, and we just love.
Yeah, we'll post the links to all that. Be in the show notes.
We just loved the cringe humor, awkward humor, dry humor. It's very. I saw one comment call it anti-comedy, and like in a good, it was a compliment. They said it's almost like an anti-humor, which I kind of understood what they were talking about. Like it's kind of, and they did mean it in a positive way. It's a very different style of comedy, and some people get it, some people don't. I'm 100% committed to it. I love it.
Oh yeah, Tim and I are so on board, and you know what? And it's like one of these things where it's like we were like when we got to talk to them, as you'll hear, they are like as awesome as you'd imagine. They really are like just such cool people. Estelle is like so like awesome. She just like rattles off with like these amazing little like anecdotes you'll hear in there, and it just and Tom is like you'll find out like a lot more about Tom because he's very quiet in the movie, you know. And so like when you hear him talk in person, it's really cool to hear like a lot of his like viewpoints of everything. So
without further ado, here is our interview with Toasters and Moose, Estelle and Tom. Okay, Brian, we've interviewed famous actors on this show. We've interviewed writers, we've interviewed directors, we've interviewed producers. We've interviewed best-selling New York Times authors, but I don't think we've ever interviewed celebrities of this caliber. The legendary duo Toasters and Moose. Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Hey.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Happy to be here, I got to tell you.
Great intro, right? Tim's
Excellent.
good at that stuff.
It's very good. I was like, oh.
Thank you.
Well, you don't know how this. We should just kind of because most of our audience will tune in here, listening, thinking that it's like pure horror talk. But we have to explain the little backstory of this. So, I'm constantly on social media, constantly scrolling Instagram all the time, and one of my brothers, always like we send each other like videos and stuff, and he sent me the legendary Taste the Biscuit clip that someone had posted, but it was just that. It was just a little sequence. And he goes, "Oh my God, did you see this?" And I said, "Oh, this is the best. I love this thing." And I couldn't stop. And Tim will tell you, if a song gets caught in my head, it's dangerous for all those around me. And so I was literally singing it all over the place. And it just happened to be later that night, Lori had come over, which is my sister-in-law, which knows Estelle here, aka Toasters, so she was like, and I started singing it, and she looked over at me. I said, "You saw this, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, I know that. That's my friend Estelle." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "How?" I said, "No." I said, "Stop that." And she's like, "No, we did plays together. We did." I'm like, "You're kidding me." I said, I can't been singing this like literally all day now. And I'm like, and I was like, "Oh my God, one of these days I think we have to, I have to meet them." And I thought it was just kind of one of these remarks, but nope, my sister-in-law came through and she introduced us. And now we are so excited to have you on the show. And of course I told Tim, and he was like flipping out because he saw the movie like years ago.
Oh my God!
Chicken
really?
in the Shadows, yeah. No, I saw this long before TikTok. Like this was way like years and years ago. Yeah. I knew Taste the Biscuit and all that, so I was like a fan of it for forever. So when Brian said, "I think we can get an interview with Estelle," and I was like, "You got to be freaking kidding me!" Because I've been listening to this for years. Like, there's no way. Yeah. And I was like over the moon. So I was super excited for you guys.
And then even got better when Estelle's like, Tom wants to come on too. I'm like, oh my God, all right, this is just the best. This is like the best news ever because Tim and I we'll get into it more as we go through the interview, but like we just like this thing, something about this, the Chicken in the Shadows, and that's by the way, for listeners, if you haven't known, that is the movie that Taste the Biscuit, which you had to have seen a million times, came from. And this movie is like so bizarrely wonderful that like, and it's like, it has the kind of humor that Tim and I like in it, and it's just, there's just sequences in there that we've literally been texting each other back and forth like lines from the song. And we're torturing all our friends with it too in our text feed. But
it is quotable.
Yes.
Well,
I do it myself.
Vincent Gargiulo, the guy who wrote it, this came out in like 2010 and really got a little viral in 2011. But he wrote it when he was 28. It was almost 14 years ago. And we appreciated the dry humor in it and all the absurdity and the surrealism. And it did have the feeling of like Christopher Guest or John Waters, or there's another guy that they compare him to. And he does all kinds of other films. Well, yeah, I could see that. But he's done a bunch of other stuff too. But at the time, it was both Tom's and my first real kind of indie film. And so you kind of go, all right, let's get some experience, and for this to keep going like it has, is like, but Vincent really, I mean, he wrote it, he wrote the songs, the lyrics, the screenplay, shot it. I mean, he had a cruise and all that, but he produced it and edited it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all his fault.
But it's crazy that, like, it's like this little thing that like anyone can see on YouTube now, which is great. It's like anyone could just go on YouTube and watch this, and it's just like, it's amazing that like we're talking about something that's like over 10 years old, and it somehow found a way to be more popular. And you're like more popular than ever, both of you, because it, like, everyone, like, if you say taste a biscuit, everyone knows what you're talking about. Like, and this is like something 11 years later. So, but what I want to hear, so I want to kind of go back a little bit to the chicken in the shadows, of course. What, like, how did this, like, I want to know the whole story, how this came about. Like, how did he approach you? Did you guys that's the first time you met, I guess, right? I saw.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, I saw it on a casting website, and I was looking for stuff to do. In fact, at the time I'd been doing theater at night. I'd started 2, 3, 4 different co-founded 3 different theater groups in the South Bay. And I was like, I'm so tired of office work and high tech. And I thought I wanted to see if I can make camera acting my 9 to 5, which later I learned it really was not, necessarily for me. But so I saw this, and it was this movie Chickens in the Shadows, and I was trying to figure that out. And he does that. In fact, in the film, he mentions, or she mentions the movie at the end that she's been in at the old LA Zoo. It has nothing to do, the title has nothing to do with the movie. And he loves kind of confounding people who consider themselves, film critics or connoisseurs or whatever. Anyway, so it was a long character description, a pretty good description of the movie. And at the very end, it said, her voice really isn't that bad. I thought, okay, I think I can pull that one off. Because I'm confident with acting. I love to sing, but I'm not trained, and I'm rather terrified to sing in front of people. And this was like 7 live performances, in the film. And then when I got cast, I said, well, who'd you cast as Moose? And he said, this guy, Tom Shaw. So the internet was a little different then, but I Googled him and I went, oh, shit. He's a real singer. He's a real jazz pianist. He has his own trio. How am I going to sing in front of him? Meanwhile,
I have been a full-time singer pianist since 1983. So that's been my career. But I've always wanted to be in the movies. Like, is there anybody out there that doesn't want to be in a movie? So occasionally,
actually, yes.
Oh, okay.
There are people who don't even. Anyway.
So anyway, I was on Craigslist. This is, we're talking 2009, back when Craigslist was kind of a thing. And they had a category called gigs or something like that. So I'm always looking in there for, possible music gigs. And I saw this casting notice. Vincent was casting for an indie film, and he needed a mid-50s guy to play this character who's a singer pianist, who's kind of a little overweight, kind of depressed, doesn't talk a lot. I mean, it was so me. I mean, I'm actually a very animated person. And I think in the last 14 years, I've become a lot more animated. But at the time, I could totally relate to this character. And he also said singing and playing is not really required. But since I could do it, I thought, who knows, maybe I'll ace it. So I auditioned for the part, and voila. And just like Estelle said, I asked Vincent, so who's playing Toasters? And he said her name's Estelle Piper. And I Googled Estelle and found out she was a Shakespearean actress and a director and a playwright. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Teacher, not a playwright, but yeah.
Okay. So
I'd love to
all
take
those,
credit for that.
all those
but I
things
can't.
all those things that I'm not. So I was a little terrified, but we just we worked so well together. It was amazing.
Yeah, and we kind of confessed this to each other, and we were both like, you know what, girl, I got your back. You're doing all right. And our chemistry together when we, I mean, here we are 13, 14 years later, and we get on these TikTok live shows and stuff, and the chemistry just, and so I kind of go, wow, amazing, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what's so great about it. Your chemistry, like you would never think that you weren't like a real duo that goes out and sings, because you guys just have that like rapport. And it's so funny because like you're in the movie, you're way more animated, and Tom's character just kind of is so like so deadpan and lots, but his lines when he comes out with one is like hilarious. It's like the I'm not homeless, and he just like you don't expect that, and then
no. And that's all. A lot of that's Vincent too. I mean, so much of that is the script. I mean, Toaster's is not really a very nice gal. But she does learn a little bit, by the end. And I think both Toasters and Moose do, and so they're able to get back and gig on their own. But a lot of that, I look back and go, wow, that was a pretty good script from Vincent, really. But it was fun to take it and work with it.
There's so many little, like, that's what I was telling Brian. I was like, unless you watch it multiple times, there's so many little subtle things that you miss that are just throwaway. Like, not going to say throwaway, they're very intentional, but they're very subtle gags that are sprinkled throughout this thing, and very subtle quotable lines and stuff. And that's the piece I love. I think there was a line, Estelle, in the very beginning of the movie where you said your character says something like, it's because she's explaining to the actress on stage, and she says, I can't remember the exact line.
In the class?
Yes. But she says something like it's unexpected and doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's funny because it's unexpected and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and when I first heard that line, I was like, oh my God, that is my sense of humor to a absolute T. And that's when I knew I was going to love that movie, because it really does sum up the entire movie. And we've got certain friends, I won't say who don't get that style of humor. It's a very particular style, and you either get it and you're 100% on board, or it just goes completely over your head. So
I think too, one thing that we've sort of talked about, the Rolling Stone interview we had talked about a little at the end, is that, I mean, a lot of people said, God, you guys were ahead of your time. Vincent was ahead of his time. Maybe so. But after a couple of years of pandemic, I think people were like, fuck yeah. Pardon. I hope I can say that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I think we have some different generations now that are coming up, and they're like, I get this, and it's not your 20th century humor necessarily.
Yeah, my son brings me TikToks all the time of stuff he thinks is hilarious, and I'm going, and some of it I get, and some of it I don't. And some of the stuff I don't is literally, it's just completely makes no sense whatsoever. It's just like, and it's like 5-second clips, and I'm going, what is going on here? And I think it fits perfectly, though, like you said, with the younger generation, like they get that bizarre weirdness of like, it's funny because it's so completely out of left field kind of
thing. Amazing to me how many people still are like, people see that clip from the movie that we shot in the thrift store, and they're seeing it for the first time. Like there's people out there who have never seen it.
Yeah.
Or
lots of people still.
Or they see somebody's remix of Taste the Biscuit, and they're like, oh, that's really a cool song. And then they see the thrift store scene, and they're like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I've seen now, it's like, people do, I don't know how they do it, I don't know what it's called, but I want to learn this, the way they do it, where they just like almost like clip out the person and like overlay it over like whatever they're doing.
It's like a filter.
I've seen so many of you, Estelle, doing the Taste the Biscuit, like overlaid on things to the point where it went from everything to wholesome to extremely adult fare. and it's
some
hilarious.
pretty raunchy stuff out there.
I'm like, well,
I mean, some of it I go, oh my God, that's hilarious, and some of it I go, Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that was funny too, because Lori happened to be over, and I said, they finally took Estelle's thing and they made it like they put it in something adult in front of it. And I'm like, and she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I was almost too embarrassed to show her, but like, I kind of
Oh, now you're going to have to send it to us.
Yeah, I got to find it. You know what? It was so long ago. I mean, there's so many of them. It's amazing. And actually, it kind of leads into our, like, the next thing I was going to say is like, so, I mean, what is it must be like, though? Because, I mean, this is now something, like we said, 2010. And, now social media has taken on a completely other thing than it has. Like, there was no TikTok back then. I don't think Instagram was around back then. And
no, Facebook, yes.
Yeah, Facebook was, and I think MySpace, which was mentioned in there, which of course I cracked up. I love that.
Johnny Allen is so funny.
Yeah. Oh, his actually, Tim and I, one of the lines, a little sidebar, one of the lines we always crack up is when he's sitting there where the waitress comes over with all the tickets and she goes, you can't use this to pay for beer. And he goes, well, what the hell have I been doing for the last half hour? And like, to me, I like literally, that was like a laugh out loud I did. And Tim and I have been saying that line back and forth, and we're totally going to probably use it all the time. But yeah, no. And so like, I mean, like, and I've started to like, when I knew you guys were coming on, I was like, all right, let me start looking up some other things. I mean, I see you were on, the Mario Lopez's show. Yeah. I saw Billy Ray Cyrus singing "Taste the Biscuit" on the George Lopez show.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, this thing we've been scooped by everybody. I thought we were ahead of it. Shows how behind the times I am. But
well, this happens in waves, and that's what's been interesting is that about 2 or 3 months ago, Far Out, which is a kind of a pop magazine in the UK, featured it, the original clip, and all these folks from the UK were like, bloody hell, blah, blah, blah. And I don't quite like that. But, I mean, they'd never seen it. And we're like, wow. And yet sometimes once in a while, I wish we could reach like TikTok or whatever in other countries, because I got to see a kid dressed up as, now you guys have seen the Chrome Lady, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that lady doing that. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
So lots of people did lots of filters and things on that. And there was a boy, a big boy, who was wearing the Chrome Lady Halloween outfit, so with the chrome limbs and the purple dress. And I think he had maybe a wig. And he's singing it in Welsh. And we're like, yeah. And then there was a guy singing it in Irish Gaelic. And I'm like, God, what I would love to do is find these things all over the world, from Italy, from, South Africa, whatever, and put them together and go, this is what technology
that would be amazing.
Is bringing us fucking together.
That would be
that's awesome.
Well, yeah. And I want to get your hopes up, but Tim and I, we found out that our podcast is the 131st ranked podcast in Croatia. So, maybe you'll get there now. I don't know. That's all I can say.
Good. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a running joke we have, seriously, and probably everyone's sick of the joke, but I don't care because I'm going to tell it to new people all the time. But yeah, it was funny. We just literally randomly got this email one day from some kind of podcast email service, and they said, hey, by the way, did you know your podcast is now ranked 131st in Croatia? And so we took that as proud, because we're going to thrive to get to 130, so that's our next step.
I'm assuming
what the hell.
I'm assuming there's only 131 podcasts.
That's kind of what we think, but
but you never know, man. There could be like 500 out there.
Now I hope with Taste the Biscuit going to be on there now. Maybe now this will be like a big thing,
I wanted to say that what's so great about Vincent's song, or what makes it great, is that it can be done so many different ways.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There's so many different remixes, and like people singing it in different languages and different genres of music. It's like that to me is like a classic song. If the song you wrote can do that.
There's a group, I mean, a bunch of people have done it, and some people have done it very recently, and we're like, oh my God. But there's a group on TikTok that last year, they're called Company Dumps, and then the guy who actually does it from that studio has his own thing called King Killer Studios. And so they did like disco, which was very psychedelic at the same time. And then they did one that was like grunge, like Teen Spirit in that genre. There's a big metalhead one out there, there's the biscuit, and then they did this one that was, I mean, it was for the clubs. Hip-hop. It's got a beat that will just make you go, oh. And then they got AI with it before there was this big AI controversy. They got Notorious Big's voice doing a rap.
Oh my God.
The purple lady, or the chrome lady is not your fucking savior, and blah 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 blah. when you put a biscuit in my mouth, mama, you can, no one can top you, and blah 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 blah. So good. Oh my God. And the beat is just, oh my God. And we just saw one recently. There's a guy named Crafty Cuts.
Oh my God. See, I don't even know half these people.
I don't either. I don't either. And he made this thing that was like, the first half of it's like an art film. It's beautifully shot, dark, and everybody's moving backwards except this one guy. And then these really evil looking guys are looking down at this little black girl. And then it goes, dum, 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 taste the biscuit. And it's like, oh my God. And then this other guy, who was it, Tom?
The
he just did
one?
a psychedelic one. Yeah.
His name,
so 60s.
He's on Instagram. His name is Atta Body, like ATABOTTY.
Yeah, I mean, we can send you some of these links if you want.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I would love to. Well, in the horror community, you'll know when you make it when they have Amityville biscuit, because if you know, like in the horror community, they literally put Amityville in front of everything. There was over like, after the original film, there's probably close to like 100 Amityville films. It's been like a running joke in the horror community because everything is Amityville. So now we need like Amityville biscuit, and that'll be
my God,
that'll be our contribution.
I loved Amityville 3D, which many years.
Yeah, I actually got to see that in 3D. Actually,
wow.
Yeah, they had a 3D film festival when I was living in Long Island. Still, it was actually a year or two before the pandemic, because I think this theater it was also the last theater I went into right before everything shut down for a while.
Yeah.
It was this little art theater that's like attached to a it's like really old school theater, and it's attached to this assisted living place. Very odd setup, but the theater, it's kind of its own thing. But it's got like a little bar, and they have like cool events. And
cool.
So they had a 3D festival. It was like a triple feature. It was like Friday the 13th part 3D, free in 3D, Amityville 3D, and I think one of those Paul Naschy films or something like that he did in 3D. And it was really cool because they had it was like a company in New Jersey or something cut like they redid the films under this new kind of technology, and there was these different kind of 3D glasses. So it was like this whole new 3D technology there. So it was really neat to get old films kind of like redone in that way, and it was like really cool. So yeah, that was kind of a neat thing to see Amityville in 3D, because I actually lived in Amityville for a while, which was kind of cool. So now I had lost that horror cred for Amityville, because now I'm in Santa Clara. It's just not the same, not the same horror thing, but
no, but
but it's kind of fun. Well, there's still the lore, right? Isn't it like that, supposedly that tree or something, the haunted tree, or someone hung themselves or something? I don't.
Well, several things have happened there.
Yeah. It's not the same, but yeah.
No, although there's a church, a Unitarian church. It's actually was the site of a theater group that's still going, City Lights Theater Company, and it was built like in the 1860s with Transylvanian architecture. I kid you not. And so we did our first show, Exit the King, by, I don't know, UNESCO or Sartre or one of those guys. And so we were downstairs, and we were moving costumes and stuff from one room to another. And I walk into the room where we're supposed to deposit the costumes, I think. And in the behind me, upper right corner, I hear this, and I couldn't tell if it was a sigh or a creak. And out of my mouth just went, what do you want? And then I put my stuff down and walked out. And then at lunch, we're all sitting around eating, and this old deacon who is probably in his 70s, really sweet guy. I told him about it, and he goes, what room was that? So I told him. He goes, oh, that's interesting. I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, there was a deaconess who hanged herself in that corner in the 60s.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. And then
I got to see this place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And I had to lock that place up at night a couple times.
Whoa.
something was not good there. I was like, get me the fuck out.
Ooh,
but yeah, very interesting.
That's kind of creepy. But
yeah.
so what's like what do you think's the craziest thing like that's anyway? Has anyone ever like come up to you guy like in this like you've been just walking around and people recognize you and they say what's like the craziest thing that like happened like that?
Well, I was at New Year's dinner and here in where I live, and there was a real nice restaurant with a New Year's whatever. And so the owner, who's like Icelandic but travels to Europe and whatnot, goes, when I was in Paris, I got you it's a little kid's license plate, and it says Estelle, and he found it in Paris, and it's got a little Eiffel Tower, and he goes, because you are a little famous now. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And then the little hostess, who was probably like 18 or 20, goes, what? Oh my God, are you? Oh my God, can I take a picture with you? And I'm going, yeah, okay, sure, sit down, let's do it.
What about you, Tom?
That's
Anyone
awesome.
any crazy fans for you?
Not yet, but actually, I was just remembering last year I had a gig on New Year's Eve here in San Francisco at a restaurant that's no longer around. It was called Lion and Swan, I think.
Oh,
and it was with a performer named Varla Jean Merman, who's a very well-known drag performer who I've played piano for many, many years. She's based out of, she used to live in New Orleans and then moved to Florida. But whenever she comes to San Francisco, she often hires me to play for her. So we had this gig, and we were at sound check, and I was wearing a Toasters and Moose shirt.
That's awesome.
Somebody came up to me. Oh, and I was still wearing, my mask for like COVID and stuff, so they couldn't see my face. And they're like, oh, Toasters and Moose. I'm like, oh, do you know Toasters and Moose? And so I lowered my mask. They're like, oh my God! And like, apparently the chef was a huge fan, and he came running out of the kitchen and.
My God.
One of my big moments so far.
Like you need to get Ike's to make you a sandwich with Toasters and Moose.
Oh wow!
Right.
That's
oh
what you
God.
need.
The T&M.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. I think Tim, I took like that whole question there for you.
Oh no, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of jumping around, but so aside from Taste the Biscuit, is there any songs of yours in the movie that you guys are particular fans of? Because people that if they don't go past Taste the Biscuit, they're missing out on some classics, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
People think they need to do another song. It's like, well, we have.
I actually bought the album today.
See it.
Yeah, I actually bought on iTunes. I bought your Christmas one today, and you're the regular soundtrack of Chicken in the Shadows. I've been listening to it all day with headphones on, of course. People and I like find myself chuckling, and people probably at work are like, "There's only a couple of us in the building." And they're probably looking at me like, "What is he laughing at? What is he listening to?" But it's like the one that gets me all the time is oh my God, I forget, wait, what's the name of it? A Disconnect, Tom, the one that you
I
sing.
was just gonna say that.
Oh my God, that song is freaking hilarious. I was quoting that to our friends the other day too, and they're like, what are you saying? Because I think it was the part about the pigeon shit on the ground. That song is so incredibly weird, but it's like unbelievably fun. Like I don't know how that didn't take off also, it's like,
well, I think it's not enough people have heard it, and I think one of the things, wouldn't get back to this, but I think one of the things about these characters is they're clearly flawed, but they're earnest, and I think and we don't play it. I mean, my character is over the top, but we play this pretty straight, and people go, and I think that's why they go, aren't you a real couple? And we're like, no. Couple of what? But at any rate, Disconnect is, oh my God, that song.
Yeah, I think it works so well because you play it straight. Like if you played it differently, I don't think it would have hit as well. Like the humor and then the whole like fun of that movie, I don't think would hit as well if you didn't play it straight. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tom.
I don't know. I lost my train of thought. It's quite all right.
It was about Disconnect.
I think Rock Your Body Home is one of my favorites, and although it drives us crazy, I do love Where's My Underpants.
That's a real popular song when we're on.
Oh my God.
Well, and you gotta, I think the Rock Your Body Home one, if you have to listen to not just the version, the first part of the film, but the end credits one, because you have that laugh, that like laugh.
Oh yeah, that's what. And
which is
what's
hilarious.
So weird? It was like in 1 year, because I did like some other indie films that year too. in 1 year, I was asked to do the crazy laugh. I mean, out of the blue, 4 different projects. And I went, what is this? What am I projecting here?
That too, and that whole sequence though that leads into Tom's that way, you know, before you leave, and you're singing like the angry version of "Take the Biscuit," as I like to call it, which cracks me up because you're like at that point you're like just like so fed up with everything, and you could tell it's so well done. You're like, "Take the biscuit," and it's like,
yeah,
oh my
the
God,
angry biscuit. For those who've heard it, and not many people probably have unless they watch it, but it was circulating around on TikTok and whatnot, and that got a lot of attention too.
Yeah.
In fact, there's I want to say Yo-Yo Joe or something like that. There's a performer who's in like Michael Jackson's musical and Les Mis and something else. And what's that?
She was in she was in Moulin Rouge on Broadway.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Yes.
When she contacted
and then the guy, one of the guys
they were both
with
in
her.
that show.
Yeah, he's like the Len Cariou, if you remember any.
Oh, I know
musical.
him. Yeah, he's actually one of my favorite movies.
Like the
Len
Cariou of this generation, and they're like lip syncing the Angry Biscuit after a performance. They're still in costume. I'm like, and I didn't know who it was, and Tom goes, "Hey, blah blah blah," and I'm going, "Who's that?" So I look it up, and I'm like, "Oh fuck."
See, I'm a big fan of what is the bluegrass song that y'all played, the second song?
Oh,
round
and round, because the line in the morning time, I can find my supper time now, and I'm going, oh my God, I can see so many perspectives of that line. Like, what does that line mean? I'm sitting there going,
it's way like a deeper hall of mirrors, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh my God. I think that's the joy of some of these songs is like you can interpret them in so many different ways.
I think Vincent is a brilliant songwriter, and I don't know that he consciously did this. So when I said this to him one time, he kind of went, but I said, dude, you successfully wrote something out of all these different 70s genres, but you did it, and it's catchy as hell. It's an earworm, and yet it's just off enough that you understand why these two had one album, one hit, and he kind of went, well, I thought, but you did. But they are brilliant.
I mean, you even have like that little like that kind of like that rap sequence in one of the songs, which I'm like, oh my God. Well,
I think it's homeless.
I'm not homeless.
That came out afterwards, and that has different production values. That's another thing, is that the production value and look and feel of Taste the Biscuit is real approachable. It's not high polish or anything like that, even though it's it's well done and well crafted. But then I'm Not Homeless is more like a real, at that point in time, full on music video. And he goes, "You're going to rap?" And I went, all right, here we go.
I mean, that's what's amazing.
I love that we got to hear Tom's voice.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like both of you, your strength. I mean, what I think it has got to be your strength of portrayed in this film, because like, I mean, it's such a great mix of sequences. Like when I think that the line where like when Tom finally yells out, like, I mean, he speaks, it's not like he's mute the whole movie, but like it's kind of like when you hear Silent Bob the first time in like Jay and Silent Bob, when he finally comes up with that line when Tom just yells, because you're like this like nice quiet guy, and then you just yell that out, and it's so unexpected. And like Tim and I said, that's our kind of humor, and that's like where you have the line at the theater class that you're teaching. I love a movie when it flat out tells you what you need to expect, but yet like you may miss it the first time, and it's not until a rewatch where you say, "Oh my God, they flat out told me." There's like, I know about 6 movies I could probably rattle off the top of my head where it kind of does something like that, and it's like, and I'm like, and I find like I end up loving all those movies. They were always some of my favorites.
And there's recurring moments and themes and stuff too. Even when, I mean, the whole underpants thing is throughout the movie, and that was something I think he sort of deliberately did to throw those film connoisseurs off. But I mean, give me those motherfucking underpants, and then where's my underpants? And then when I pack up to leave, I'm running around, there's underpants all over the hotel room, and I'm stuffing them in the but there's stuff like that all the way through, and it ties back, and I kind of love that.
And Toaster's unending hatred for the niece, I think, is hilarious.
Oh, and the girl has one line, she goes,
Yeah, even like that is like so perfect. Like, you know, it just so fits that the movie. And then Tim says he always laughs at the part where she's trying to bring the giant keyboard in the door.
Oh my God, yes.
They've made her the roadie, basically.
Yeah. And then they leave her up at Fort Sutter or something like that, you know, with a $20 bill.
Yeah,
it's so great.
Yeah. Well, and it was funny, the thing you said with my fucking underpants thing. What's funny is when I actually went to film school at one point. I mean, obviously this is the closest I'll come to at this point in my life, I think. I mean, it would be fun to be in films and make films and stuff, but I remember I had a teacher that did, I think it was, I forgot what the class was, some kind of something in fiction was the class, and he used to say, he goes, by the way, he goes, on day one, he's like, I am going to sometimes throw in words to make sure you're all paying attention and make sure you're you know, it's unexpected and you're going to get it. And so he'd be like this. He's like, so, you know, this movie has a lot of great fucking things in it, like that, and just explode with like that, with that. And it, like, everyone would be like, what? But I'll tell you, you never got bored in that class, because, you know, now you were always expecting the unexpected, so to speak. And I thought that was always a brilliant way of getting something across, you know?
Yeah. You know, you're lecturing along and you go, and the level of the underpants was considerable. And yet, you know, and then people are like, what did I just hear?
Oh my God. So believe it or not, like, I mean, if people are like just wondering, they're thinking like, again, like, you know, that like, you know, it's just the movie taste, but you're still doing stuff, because you just came out with, I think it was it this year or last year, the Christmas biscuits and that little Christmas album.
Last December, yeah. But it was kind of late in the season, so I think we're really getting momentum for that this season.
I posted a snippet of Christmas biscuits, just the chorus, a very like 28 seconds.
Yep.
I posted that about 5 days ago. It's had 1.1 million views on my Instagram. I'm just like, what?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
10 years alone.
That is
wow.
Crazy.
That's crazy
for that. Yeah. And it's funny too, because I put it in, I'm making like a holiday mix today. So I'm gonna, you know, when our family comes over for the holidays here, and I literally put those songs on there, and I can't wait to, like, you know, in the middle of like other Christmas songs and stuff. It's gonna be funny when like those come out, like Christmas Biscuit just comes out after like Silent Night or something.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Are you putting all four of them on there?
Yeah, I put everything on. I think the only one I didn't put on is the turkey one, because it's Thanksgiving themed.
Yes.
So, and I'm very genre nerdy and OCD that way. That'll be for my Thanksgiving mix. But these are the Christmas
a lot of
mixes.
people used it, because we sort of threw it out there, you know, a week or two ahead of time, and people were doing stuff on Thanksgiving with, you know, me in front of a dinner.
Oh yeah, for some reason, Taste the Biscuit became a Thanksgiving song.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
That did not happen last year. That's new.
I love it that it's like just every year it's finding like a new niche in society. It's great.
Yeah. And it's like I'm watching so stuff from, you know, Percy the Thanksgiving and turkey, and then Taste the Biscuit, and now we're sailing into Christmas biscuits time, and people are just, you know, and I'm like, wow.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, and it's the great part, I think, is that, like, you know, this is like on iTunes, so people are going to discover this and end up like loving it, and then they're going to go back, and like we always say that with our podcast in a way. It's like sometimes I'll come on to and I do the same thing too. If I discover a new podcast, I start where they're at. And after a couple episodes, then I go back and revive. So it's going to be fun to see like the cyclical nature of this, because, you know, people are going to go that they're going to, the same way I did. And like, I'm like, oh, wait, this is from a movie. I got to go see this movie. And then I see the movie, and then I'm back to the beginning, and I love it. And I'm like, oh my God, where was this? How did I miss out on this stuff for 12, 13 years?
That happened last year even. I mean, people were going, you know, we had the biscuit heads, the biscuit talks, the biscuiteers, whatever they were. And so they'd be like, I love it. The lore deepens, you know.
See, what I think you need to do is, I think people, if they haven't reached out to you yet, I'm going to put out a pitch for this. I think advertisers need to reach out for you, because Nabisco should go Taste the Triscuit, and like you could like be seeing that.
Hey, I'm sorry, but Taste the Brisket.
I was just going to say that. That was my next one. I swear to God, That was the next one I was going to do, because you could get like a charcoal place or something like a smoker company that does it. You're like, I think it's like endless, like what they could do.
Yeah.
You know what the perfect pitch would be for Chickens in the Shadows 2 would be that Toasters and Moose get viral fame, and then they have to deal with their unexpected success. That'd be perfect.
Oh my God. Yeah. And Tim's saying that because he's basically trying to get us a role in it, of course. So
there should be a podcast.
Well, that's what we should. It should start with like us interviewing you and like asking about your viral success, and then it goes through the whole history of your thing, kind of like in flashback form.
Have you guys seen the 10-year anniversary of the 30-year anniversary tour, which takes place at Hacienda Mobile Home Park?
Yes.
Okay, because it addresses the whole thing. Because a lot of people were like, a lot of kids particularly were like, I don't know, man, I'm not homeless. It's kind of down on homeless. I don't know if I like that. And so we've tried to set some expectations. I go, this is when they were newly famous, la la la, and they were a little full of themselves. But I go, if you watch 30 Dirty Celebrities, which is in that video.
Oh, that's another song I was cracking up.
So that's all about the underbelly of fame and all that crap. But it would be fun. I actually think kind of similarly. Either people have said let's get a prequel of them before and over the years up to that point of Chickens in the Shadows, or how are they doing now? And honestly, our lives are pretty interesting at this point. So there could be a lot of inspiration there. It just depends on whether Vincent really wants to revisit that or not.
He has to.
This whole Taste of Biscuit story could be a documentary.
Yeah,
totally.
Yes.
Musical.
Yeah, everything. Like it could be on Broadway. I mean, the one thing, if there is a prequel, Tom, we need to see the scene where you actually will break up with that girl that's mentioned in the the disconnect. Like you need that sequence, like of her like with a Monkeys t-shirt on or something.
I'm actually singing about Toasters.
Oh, it's Toasters in it. Oh, I never realized
Marcy
that.
Brenner is actually Toaster's name, and I say Mark.
I don't think I caught that. Now I got to watch it again.
I say in our phone call where I've kind of seen the light a little bit.
That's right. You call him Mark, I think, right?
I call him Mark. Yeah. And so so you go, oh, Mark and Marcy, And so
I didn't think I caught that. Wow.
Did you guys actually? I have to ask this. Did you guys watch all the way through the credits until afterwards?
Oh yeah, with that like semi like porn movie thing.
That was weird. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I thought it shifted to the next video, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this on YouTube?" The first time I watched it, I thought it ended, and you know how it automatically goes. And I'm like, and then I saw you. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, is this like another Estelle video, or is this a continuation?"
Dolce Vita, right?
Yeah. What happened?
Even now when I see that, I hadn't seen it for a while, and he put it on. Vincent put it on YouTube. What, a couple of years ago, Tom? A year or two ago. Anyway. So, for it was free and everybody could just see it. So I'm watching la 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 la. And then suddenly that came out. I went, oh yeah.
They had a screening of the film a year ago, and they turned all the lights on during the closing credits, and the people that had seen the film before were like, no, wait.
Oh my God. You need to keep those lights. I mean, you need to be people sitting in the. Well, now people, they're always looking for that next end credit scene to set up the next film.
Have.
So what?
I mean, I since long ago, but definitely since Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you go, always watch the credits. You never know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess. Oh, Tim, sorry, I almost stepped on Tim's question. He's got the next one. See, I step on people's.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm jumping all around. So, so I guess we have to do our obligatory horror movie question because we are a horror movie podcast. Do you guys like horror films, number one? And if so, what are some of your favorites?
Want to go for it, Tom?
Yeah, I used to be a bigger horror fan than I am now, I guess, because I used, like in the 80s or whatever, I'd probably go see every slasher film that came out. I got pretty bored with slashing, just murder without any plot. I mean, I haven't
kind of like sex without any plot, right?
I haven't really followed horror films too closely, but it seems like the genre has really evolved, and it seems like there's a lot of really quality horror films.
Oh yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And personally, I do like gore.
Nice.
So I can take gore. In fact, I do not like. I'll be honest with you. I do not like PG-13 horror movies.
That's a big debate in the community. That always seems to get. There's some good ones. Some films do it well. They can take that and do it well. But I'm with you. I think horror, because I feel like when movies like, I know Blumhouse tends to do this sometimes. They'll make a thing PG-13. I usually tend to wait for the eventual like Blu-ray where they have the unrated cut, because I'm like, there's obviously stuff going on here that they had to take out. Horror shouldn't. I mean, not that I'm against horror 3D, because a good horror story could be rated G for all I care.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good story. But I think especially the Hollywood movies, they tend to make it PG-13 so they could just get more audience in. Exactly. More audience can see it. And that's to me, it's not. That's sacrificing the art a little bit. So.
I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any horror movies that I've rewatched, even the ones I really like. Well, actually, I recently rewatched Carrie for the first time.
Oh, I love
the original
that
Carrie. I think I watched it maybe on Halloween, and that movie really holds up. And I actually did not like it when I saw it originally. I saw it at the theater when it came out, because I thought it was stupid, and it wasn't very gory, and it wasn't very scary. But now, as like a much older person, I'm like, wow, this movie is really like scary, like psychologically, like.
I related to it.
Piper Laurie. Piper Laurie. Oh my God.
Piper Laurie. I mean, anybody who has Piper or Estelle in their name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Piper. I didn't even put the connection.
Yeah. But I love that. I kind of identify with both the Amy Irving character and and I love Sissy Spacek's work, and I love Piper Laurie's. Oh my God.
I was so sad when she passed away when they announced that. She's been so many good things. I mean, I loved her in Twin Peaks. I loved her in, of course, Carrie. I mean, just everything she's been in. I mean, is pretty much she's knocked it out of the park.
Kind of an unrecognized icon, really.
Yeah. See what you know what we should do? Someone should edit that in there. You guys talking about doing a concert, and then her going, "You're for you," and then you yell back with like a song back, and then and they keep going back and forth. Someone needs to edit that up,
Good idea, Betty.
I recently watched Rosemary's Baby, which I hadn't seen
classic,
since it was released, and wow, what a great movie!
But the actors in that, oh my God! I mean, another one I love is Ruth Gordon.
Yes,
that woman's work. Oh my God! I kind of grew up watching a lot of horror films, but I had a really wild imagination, and I could be terrified for weeks as a kid after a movie. So at 5, I think, or so, I saw Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which had a banshee in it. Scared the bejesus out of me for weeks. I mean, I'm the kind of would reach for the light fixture, and I knew my hand would get me, right? And but my parents went to the drive-ins for several reasons, and so we saw all these Seven Arts Hammer films with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and
nice.
Vincent Price and Barbara Steele, and that was pretty classic stuff to be brought up on. And so I didn't, like something like Carrie or something like that, I really do love. But like the Chucky dolls and stuff, honestly, they just scare the fucking shit out of me.
Well, it's funny when you said
get that creepy kid away from me.
Oh, that's another one. You should have replaced the Chucky with the little girl in the movie. Just someone should edit that in every time it's her. It's like the Chucky or Megan or something like that. One of those things.
Yeah.
But actually, when you were saying Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and you had that face that was I shouldn't be scared of that. I saw Tim chuckle, and I wonder if he's chuckling because of his strange fear of a movie that's not a horror movie at all, that he's terrified of someone in.
Yes, I was movie. As a kid, I was scared of Pete's Dragon. Terrified of Pete's Dragon because of Shelley Winter's character and that. He was going to come kidnap me, and I was going to get taken by this hillbilly family.
Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
See? Oh my God, you've become Tim's hero. You really have become Tim's hero.
Somebody finally agrees with me that woman is terrifying.
It's a running joke. After I found that out, I would constantly just send pictures of Shelley Winters in all facets to Tim, just randomly.
You guys have seen Night of the Hunter, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So directed by Charles Laughton. God, I wish he'd been allowed to direct some other stuff. First of all, I adore what the hell is his
Robert
name?
Mitchum.
Oh my God! But Shelley Winters, I almost was like, yes, kill her. Oh my God. And she was young, right? And yet you kind of go, okay, the kids are really fucked now, you know. But I mean, stuff like that where I love actually kind of certain kinds of battle scenes, you know, like fights and things, like in some martial arts things and stuff where it's like, you know, or like in there's certain kinds of gore I love, like in Last of the Mohicans, where Wes Studi rips out the colonel's heart and holds it up, and I'm like, yes. But then other stuff I see and I go, oh fuck no.
Well, Tim and I have definitely seen it all for sure. Different gore sequences, and it's funny because we have our own things. Like for me, I can't stand. There's three things that I always say freak me out. One, anything where an eyeball comes out, or I can't handle that. When a bone or like an arm, finger, or like
finger
leg breaks the wrong way. Or when something's kind of like floating where it shouldn't be, like a person like floating outside like a window, like on the second level.
Like in the last scene of, and that's what that little video that somebody sent us kind of reminded me of. But like in the last scene, in the dream sequence in Carrie, and you know, Amy Irving is floating towards the grave. There's a Volkswagen Bug driving backwards.
Oh, I don't think
that shit makes me go, and so like this thing by Crafty Cuts, everybody's walking back.
Now I got to see that one again.
Oh,
it was like the one
it's
that
on
really...
one of our pages. Just check it out.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna look for it. One of the things, the perfect example with the float thing is, I don't know if you've seen the Salem's Lot, the TV version of the movie, where it was like it was a mini series on television, the original one. There's been another. There's a movie version you can get that's shorter, and also there was a remake later, but. And another remake coming, but this was the original one that was on TV, and where it has the sequence that got me freaked out. Still to this day is the thing it scares me the most in any movie, where this guy's friend dies, and he comes and visits him as a vampire, and he kind of floats up to his window, and he's just floating outside like this.
Oh yeah.
And you could see people use it as like the little gifs all the time, like on seriously one of the most terrifying things. Tim's more basic; he just doesn't like jump scares.
Yeah, you know, the older I get, I'm gonna warn you guys. The older I get, the more the filters and the sensors that I've always had are just ripped away. So I'll go into a theater, and you know, there's a jump scare, and I scream my bloody lungs out. The poor people in the theater, I feel so bad, and it's nothing I want to do, but there we are. But there's something recently I saw. Oh, American Werewolf in London.
Oh, I love that one.
Another classic.
Where like his friend is all chewed up and he's like, you know, and comes back to talk to him. You kind of go,
we still yet to do that movie. We're saving it for like an anniversary episode. We're teasing it for this we're coming up on our 300th episode next season. So thank you. And we're gonna try it. We're thinking of doing that. We have a couple of ideas for that one. We definitely want to put that on as a big one because it's both one of our favorites.
That's a good one.
Oh, very, very good.
Did you all see the Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix?
Yes.
Tim saw it. I didn't get to watch it because I was waiting for my wife to see it.
I thought it was the best thing Mike Flanagan's ever done. I think it was.
It was a lot different. It was not what I was expecting because I've loved his other stuff.
But
I'm
a big Poe fan though, so I loved all the Poe references.
We saw, like I said, all that stuff at the drive-in movies, the Fall of the House of Usher and the Cask of Amontillado and the Pit and the Pendulum, and you know.
See, I'm a huge 70s horror fan. Like I love 70s horror. So anything that came out, and I would say I'd put like mid to late 60s in there too. Anything with like Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and all those Poe films,
those guys,
Vincent Price stuff, all that. Like that's right up my alley. I love all that stuff.
In fact, when Michael Jackson did Thriller, and I could tell it was Vincent Price's voice when he goes, "The funk of 40,000 years," and I was like, "Yes."
Oh my god, that's
awesome. So classy.
He was the best.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say really quickly, there was an episode of the Fall of the House of the Usher called "The Black Cat," and that one kind of freaked me out. And I don't usually get freaked out watching horror movies.
Nice.
They freaked you out about it.
Well, it reminded me of this cat. My partner and I, when we first started dating, we were house sitting for this couple, and they had this cat that was like demonic.
Some are.
I'm not kidding you. And this cat in this show was like giving me like PTSD.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tim's like, but I have a nice cat.
I do have 2 nice kitties. Yes.
There's a cat that I used to live close to, and he was really a troublemaker because we had one of those magnetized really quickly cat doors, and he would come in and spray all over our house.
Oh gosh.
And so I'd see him and I'd be like, motherfucker. But he was so strange. I would walk up to him sometimes and he looked like there was something behind me, and his ears would go like this. He'd be like this. And I'd be like,
they see ghosts. Pets see ghosts. I'm convinced.
They do.
Totally. Because my dog stares at like this the corner in the house we're staying. And like, but he used to do it at our old place too. And I'm like, what is he staring? I'm like, there is nothing there that a human can see. So he's obviously sees a ghost, and that's it. And I'm not.
A bunch of us were on acid during college days, and yes, I inhaled, and so
I like this. This is like Toasters Uncut. I like it.
And so they had a very strange cat named Dorian Gray with huge green eyes. Lovely cat, but he was a little strange. And so we're all sitting there, and we haven't isn't really gone yet. And Dorian suddenly goes,
I wish this was a video podcast right now to see this.
Yeah. So he eyes the whole room, and then he looks at us like, "Did you fucking see that?" And then he gets up and follows it into another room, and we're like, "Did you guys see that? Did you? Yeah, I saw that." Or the cat, not the thing that he saw.
Oh my God, that would have freaked me out.
Yeah. That's an acid.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're there next, Tim. Sorry. I know we're bouncing around. I'm trying to keep some semblance of an order. It's so funny. We make these nice prep things and we always go way off because it's so fun when we get to talk to people. So
so is there any you guys got any plans in the works for anything Toasters and Moose related in the near future, or just riding the current success?
Well, we're very busy right now. We're on Cameo. Do you know what Cameo is?
Yes,
oh yeah.
Oh my God.
So we're doing a lot of cameos right now, and so that's keeping us fairly busy.
We had like 10 or 11 on Tuesday.
And
that's great.
Wow.
We're getting together tomorrow, and we have, I think, 8 so far to do.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, these are good problems to have. A little pocket change is nice.
Yeah.
But also, I think this is a big thing. Is that, I've said this a couple of times, and Tom's heard me say it, but I've been a theater person pretty much all my life. And so I played, Shakespeare and blah, 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 blah. And so when all this kind of came viral last year, I sort of looked up at the heavens and went, okay, I've done Prospero in The Tempest and Eleanor and The Lion in Winter and Fla-de-Ba, but it's going to be Taste the Biscuit. And yet, when these kids, and I'll call them kids, because of our age, anywhere from 20 to 40 or 50, write in, and it happens a lot, and they go, your video is the first time I've smiled or laughed in whatever time, 2 months, 2 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And you kind of go, wow, all right, I'm in.
I see this every day in comments.
Yeah.
It's like a very common thing.
And a lot of kids will go, will you be my grandparents? And we're like, hell yeah. Of course.
That's awesome. Yeah. But see, that's so great. Cool. Like, that's like the internet has its, obviously so many toxic things that go on, but it's great when like the tools are used for good, like the Cameo. Like, how cool is that you can like have someone like we did one, Tim's brother, this was sadly during the pandemic. His mother-in-law was stuck in the hospital, and she passed away sadly, and wasn't able to, like his sister-in-law wasn't able to go see her mother, and everything. Right. So to cheer her up, they're big. They run a Harry Potter podcast together, and so as like a treat, we all chipped in and got a cameo from one of the Harry Potter people to go and give them like give them a little say, and like they loved it. They and it's like, and it's neat like that like something like that could be used for good. It's like I totally, like Tim and I said we want to kind of like send to one of our friends like a cameo of you guys singing Taste the Biscuit. So
Well, people do that, and they do it for birthdays or congratulations or graduation. But sometimes people will go, look, so and so is just having a rough time. They got a soul-sucking job, or they're changing jobs and they're really nervous, or whatever it is. And for them to come back and go, oh my God, she was in tears, or oh my God, that was like la la, and you kind of go, thanks. Yay.
So what is some of the what do they usually request? Do they just request you to like put taste the biscuit in there, or do they have other like?
Yeah, sometimes it's a holiday thing. We just got our first Hanukkah request actually today.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so
I'm Jewish, so I like funny. when that gets represented.
Well, it's so funny because we were last year we were singing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas," Christmas, and then. And we sing and a happy honey sauce, but my brain goes and a happy Hanukkah, and I was like, good, we can do that this year.
See, now you need to do a Hanukkah one called Taste the Latka, so that way you can.
I love that.
Oh, not taste the brisket though. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, that brisket too. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think though, as Jewish, at least I can tell you this. We pretty much throw brisket into any meal we possibly can. So
my first husband. Jewish, so yeah, I'm familiar with that, and I say brisket because my mother-in-law was so sweet. In fact, I think she smoked with us one time. She goes, you kids are just smoking weeds. We're just having a good time. You want some brisket? I'll make some. We're like, yeah.
That's the thing. Grandparents always have it on hand. Like they always had it on hand. My grandmother always it was the funniest thing. Like she'd always whatever I was in the mood for. But this was before Harry Potter. But now I refer to it as she had the cabinet of requirement. It's whatever snack I wanted was in there somehow.
Yeah.
Or she always had a pound of roast beef. Always had a frozen brisket. They're always there. It's it's funny. Yeah. It's they shopped for just in case. That was their list. Yeah. It was literally everything. Just in case,
Taste the latke.
I know. See, there you go.
I was going to say the other thing.
Taste the matzah.
Oh, see, you can get in all the holidays. I like it.
Yeah.
The other thing, Tussers and Moose are doing. We go live on TikTok almost every week.
Yeah,
I saw that. I wanted to tune in and I missed it. I think we were recording when you went on it. Actually,
well,
I think
we've been lately doing it on different days. We were doing it on Fridays for a while, but a couple things have come up, and so we're kind of doing when we can get together, so we did it Tuesday this week, but usually it's through Tom's page, and if you're on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, Tom Shaw Entertainment, and just follow him, and you should get, you can check and see when the next live
because I'll put videos out there saying when the next live is, or occasionally we'll just spontaneously go live when we're in the middle of filming cameos, which we might do tomorrow, but I'm not guaranteeing that. So.
Yeah, he's actually performing right now in a show.
Yeah, tonight's opening night. I have to get there in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. We'll let you go.
No,
quick. I'm sorry, you should have done. Yeah, well, actually, that's what you went into the perfect segue to finish this off. Anyway, we wanted to let you guys know, pitch your websites and stuff where they can all follow you, so they could, keep up with especially the cameo stuff, the news, any new albums you guys come up with, or any new things. So.
We're on Facebook and Twitter and
Instagram,
TikTok. We're even on Threads and a couple other things on Tumblr.
We'll put all the stuff in our show links too. So
I have a YouTube channel.
MySpace still, right?
I actually have one. I just don't go there. But
I know mine's still somewhere out there.
It's still
floating out there. I think the only one that's still friends with me is Tom. With this flashlight kind of thing. But. That's it. But oh my God, this seriously has been one of the best treats for us this year. And the last ending of this, we had a rough go in the summer because I moved, to California. So our show were erratic. And then last 2 weeks we were sick, both of us, for various different. And so this, I love that this is we're finishing strong in the season, because this is an interview that we was such a joy to be able to get. So and you guys are just as awesome as we could imagine.
Oh my God. Well, this is so much fun. Tom, I don't know what time you have to be there, but I'm going to say break all the legs and have a wonderful opening.
Where is it? It's local?
Okay. So in San Francisco, every holiday season, there's a production of the Golden Girls live.
Oh, I see something about that.
Yeah.
It takes place at the Victoria Theater in San Francisco. It's a 500-seat theater, and it runs. We open tonight and we run through December 23rd. There's like 25 performances. We usually sell out every single one of them. It stars 4 male actors, very, very talented drag queens. And they take 2 episodes, they do them verbatim, but they also add a lot of shtick and camp and Christmas references. And it's hilarious.
Oh,
and
I love it.
It's become this ginormous San Francisco holiday tradition.
Yeah.
And back in what they used to do is used to show old commercials from like the 80s and 90s when they were like changing scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
so
sounds
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God, I gotta try and see this.
But in 2014, they hired me to come in and play music when they were doing scene changing. And so I'm singing like holiday songs and the whole audience is singing along. So I do Christmas sing-along music while they're like changing the scenery.
Oh my God, I got to see this.
And
I'll try and bring Lori and her husband too. The 4 of us will come down and then we'll.
That's a great idea.
And then Tim, you and Olivia fly out. We'll do a whole thing. Tim's in North Carolina, so
bring Estelle.
He's a bit far, but
yeah, I have friends in North and South Carolina, so I was like,
oh, nice, yeah. I'm trying to get out there to visit Brian next summer, hopefully.
Yeah,
good. That'd
so
be
hopefully,
great.
but I'm gonna look that up, Tom, and try maybe hopefully be able to get one of these shows.
Golden Girls Live.
Yeah, I want to see this because this is funny, and I'll start shouting out moose. No, I'm only kidding.
Have fun tonight, hon.
I will.
Yeah, break a leg.
Yeah,
or a nail. Break a nail.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was a super treat, especially for me being a longtime fan. So
great, it was a blast.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and you have an open invitation to come back on whenever you want. Anything you want to pitch, anything you want to talk, or you just want to come back and hang out, we're more than welcome.
We have more stories, so we could come back and tell you lots more stories.
Nice. And we're gonna. I know within a couple of months we're gonna be talking about toasters. I mean, the Chicken in the Shadows 2. I almost said Toasters in the Shadows too. Chicken in the Shadows too.
Don't give away my secrets.
Would it be like two chicken, 2 shadows? Like with the 2, like the Fast and the Furious?
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys again both so much for coming on. It was a true treat. I hope you guys had a good time as well.
I did.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. You guys are just adorable, and this is so much fun. It just went by like that.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, we've kept them on for like an hour. I feel so bad. Especially now Tom's going to go running out of the streets to go to his thing. We'll let you go.
To come back just to talk about horror.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay. So
Brian and Tim, thank you. You guys have been just
thank
lovely.
you guys. Yeah, so great
Tom,
meeting you guys.
always a pleasure. I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, you will. We'll be in touch. I got to run.
Yeah.
See ya.
Right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.
All right, Brian. So that was easily one of my favorite interviews of the year, I believe. I mean, that was just I was so delighted when you found out you had a contact.
I know that. Talk about like the luck of that. Like I said, I don't know if this made the interview. I think we talked about it right before we started the interview. But it was my sister-in-law, Lori, happened to work with Estelle and like a lot of the local theaters companies around here. And it was funny. I was, me, like anyone that knows me knows that if and Cone is probably laughing his head off now. If I get a song in my head, it instantly like stays there for a long time, and it gets sung incessantly and with variations. And I remember I was there and I kept singing it that day, and my sister-in-law happened to come over that day, and I was like, oh, and I was like, taste the biscuit. And I was like, do you know what that is? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, that's my friend Estelle. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no way. I said, really? And she's like, yeah, we've been in plays together. So I said, oh my God. I said, that's awesome. I want her on my podcast. I know she has nothing to do with horror, but I want her on my podcast. And then we found out that she introduced us eventually through a text, and we set it up. And then she told us Tom wants to come on too. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then we got both Toasters and Moose on here.
Great.
And like I told Tim, and he was just over the moon excited. It was great.
So
because Tim and I have been like torching everybody with lines from that movie in our little text feed, and it's just like, trust me, I like Tim said, like some people, it may not be for that, like you don't have that type of humor, but you know what, give it a chance, go watch it past some people watch it till Taste the Biscuit and say, okay, but you got to watch it after that, because if you like the Taste the Biscuit song, there are some other just gems in there that I'm surprised have not gone almost as equally.
Yeah, you have to
viral.
embrace the weirdness.
It's like,
you kind of have to embrace the weirdness, yeah.
And you know what? I love it even more after talking to Tom and Estelle, because I love them. They're so awesome.
One thing
people.
that people might not know is that Estelle and Tom are super talented individuals. Like Estelle's a Shakespearean actor, director, been in theater for years. I mean, Tom's like an accomplished jazz pianist. I mean, so.
Yeah, and he's like he's a working musician.
He's a working musician for decades. I mean, so like it's you kind of get when you see the movie, like it's one of those things where sometimes it takes really talented people to pull off really untalented characters.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like they and they're so. It's like when you really like when you heard them in the interview, and then you see the movie, you'll see like how good a job they did. Like, how like that's like how good a job at acting they did and portraying everything, because they are talented, extremely talented. And it's like, and so I just hope more people see this movie now, and they don't just think it's like just that one little like Taste the Biscuit like viral.
There's a lot
segment.
More to it, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's other crazy characters in there that are fun. I mean, the Hunchback guy, which we didn't even mention to them in our interview. That's how much is in this
the Chopin
1 hour
cover
movie.
band. So yeah, there's tons. There's
the
tons of
Chopin cover band, the hippie couple group, and and then we did mention the roadie girl, the niece. We didn't even really mention their manager.
Oh, he was wonderful.
One of my favorite lines in the movie when we said, but. Just give it definitely watch the movie. The link is in there. It's free on YouTube. Especially, I know you're going to want to watch it anyway after you heard that interview we just did. So it's fun.
I guess we're going to wrap it up with our fan topic food question.
Yeah. So my question is it's a simple one. It's going to stay in the spirit of this, even though it's now past Thanksgiving, but this is our lost episode, so it works. Have you ever gone shopping on Black Friday, and do you have any crazy tales to tell?
Well, I'm going to be a total bore on this question because I don't have any crazy Black Fridays.
Should have proxied and called on this one.
I'm not a big Black Friday shopper. I will usually go out on Black Friday just to get out into the crowds, but typically I don't I'm not one to get up early in the morning. I will not do that. I don't care. I will, I'll typically wait till that afternoon and kind of go out and just kind of pick through the leftovers. But I'm not a deal hunter guy, like especially these days with everything online. You could order everything from the house. Like, why get out in the traffic? I mean, probably my craziest Black Friday stories were probably from when I was working and I was on the other side of the counter, that kind of thing. When I was working like at Walmart and stuff, because it was a horrible job that I walked out on. I actually quit my job at Walmart 2 days before Christmas. There was a line, literally. I'm going to tell this story because this is the God's honest truth. There was a line to the layaway department, literally, like from the layaway department in Walmart, like all the way to the front of the store, like people waiting for Christmas stuff. And I kind of feel I feel bad about this in some ways to the customers, but kind of I don't. I had this real nasty manager. I hated her. She was always trying to get me in trouble for stuff I did nothing. She accused me of stealing one time. I've never stolen a thing in my life.
Tim, there was $228 in my wallet. I can't remember the line right, but I was going to say it.
No.
I know, but you said it so perfectly. Like, I never stole a thing in my life. Listen, anyone that knows Tim knows he's like one of the best guys you'll ever meet. There's like, I would like, actually, I kind of almost, you make me now want to go like find this woman and like say, what the hell's your problem? How could you accuse my friend Tim of that?
She had this habit of, she would, if she got mad at you for something, she would put her finger in your face. Like, she would come up and like put her finger in your face, like point in your face. And
I hate that. I hate when people do that. That's like my personal space. Don't put your finger in there.
You got to imagine, this has been going on for months. This lady accusing me of not shoplift, but like taking money out of the register, which I would never do that. accused me of like losing layaways, which were clearly my coworkers. Like it was like stuff that wasn't even my handwriting, and saying that I was the one that took the order. Like at one time she accused me of like helping a guy steal something because I forgot to put the purchase sticker on his box when he walked out. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I was so tired of this lady. And she came up and she yelled at me about something again and put her finger in my face. And I turned around. I'll never forget this. I turned around to my coworker and I said, if that lady puts her finger in my face one more goddamn time, I'm walking out of here. And
I like Red Kim. This
yes,
is back early days of
and
Red
sure
Kim.
enough, something happened. I don't remember exactly what happened. Again, line out the freaking door of Walmart, people waiting. And this was probably unfair to my coworkers. I admit that. Line out the door. She comes up and she put her finger in my face, and I took that Walmart apron off. I took my badge off. I clocked out. I threw the apron on the counter and I walked out of the store, and I never went back. And they ended up sending me my pink slip like a couple weeks later. But worst job by far and bar none, Walmart, worst job I've ever had in my life. I can't stand that lady. Wherever she is, I don't know where she is, but yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, maybe she got eaten.
You're the worst manager ever, and I don't regret walking out and leaving your ass high and dry on 2 days before Christmas. So there's my story. Nice. It's not technically a Black Friday story, but it's the only crazy story I have.
Yeah. No, you know what? I've had so many crazy stories because my friend Mark and I, we used to always kind of go to go early in the morning to like hunt for action figures, and we deal with a whole bunch of. We literally had a cast of characters that I called it was like enemies like throughout the years, and so I mean some of these stories I don't even know if they were on Black Friday or just normal days, in all honesty, because like we made every day a Black Friday because there would be the same the same collector group on Long Island that would be there. There was this guy we called a Toothless Guy for obvious reasons. Because he was like a plumber, and he'd show up like in his plumbing gear all the time, like he was an overnight plumber. So he like came in, he was smelled and dirty, and he was toothless, and he always grabbed like the action figure and go like when he grabbed one from us. And yeah, then there was like this guy, I called him this other guy, Evil Starting Lineup Guy, because he hockey, I guess, I don't know, his starting lineup blocked me at one point at a KB, and then he called us pigs once because we got ahead of him in a store because it was funny. This is kind of off time. We were strategically looking. We knew they were going to get like these cases of starting lineup figures, and we actually knew we met one of the guys in the back, and he was, for some reason, I don't know why this guy like latched on to us, but he was so nice to us all the time, and he would always give us a tip. Like sometimes he'd go to the back and like dig through the boxes to get us like the hard to find like figures and stuff if they had them. And he told us, he goes tomorrow we have a lot of stuff, and it's gonna be in the bin in the front, not on the aisle. So when the store opened, we kind of like faked everyone out. We just kind of started to walk towards the aisle, and at the last minute just kind of turned and went to the front bin, and sure enough, everything he said was going to be there was there. And then by the time the other people realized, they came out, Mark and I had like 2 handfuls of stuff like stacked up and put it into a cart, and we were going away, and the guy's like, hey! And the guy's like, there's no limit, I can't do anything about it. And the guy goes, fine, you be pigs then. And like he yelled at us. Then there was a guy we called Bosk because he looked like the bounty hunter Bosk.
Jeez.
And then we had what did we have? We had a guy named, well, this wasn't actually our name for him. That was what his friend called him. His name called him Pork Chop. And but he was friends with the guy we called What You Got From Me, because he thought like it was the weirdest thing. Like we'd see him in the store, and we'd have figures, we'd be walking, and he would go up to us like we were going to give him one. And he would go like, ooh, what you got for me? And we're like, nothing. And the funniest thing is because we knew, like, we collected for fun, but most of these guys we would see then later on at like the car shows,
the dealers, man,
the flea markets, selling this thing. Yeah. And What You Got For Me was there. Granted, What You Got For Me though turned out he was like it's funny, his real name was Brian. We found out later he was actually legit a nice guy, and he I'm laughing because of the story I'm going to tell you after, but he's like a legit nice guy because he Like I remember when we'd see him at the store, if he did have other figures that I wanted, he would always give us like almost next to like about what he paid for.
Nice.
Like he was actually a legit nice guy. Yeah, he was a cool guy. Out of the quote unquote enemies we'd meet, I figured he was a nice guy. But he told us the one time we saw him at the store and we saw his face was all bruised. We're like, what happened? And he said he went to it. I mean, I tell you, this freaking sounds like a gang thing. He said he went to the other Toys R Us that he normally doesn't go to. And these two guys, I guess, whose like territory it was, is the way he put it, like met him at either end of the aisle and they blocked him in the action figure aisle and started pummeling him with their little baskets.
Oh my God.
He said it's like he walked down the aisle and it was empty and like he looked at either end and they were waiting for him there, each with the bin. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like freaking
like a nerd
West Side
gang,
Story, but without the music. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And so he told us that, and like, you know, like Mark, he got injured one time at a funny thing. It was a Walmart opening. This was not Black Friday, but it was the Walmart opening. And Walmart got in a lot of trouble for this. It was on the news. They basically, it was the first Walmart in Nassau County where I lived. And they were opening up this brand new Walmart. And they had like all the people, like all the collectors there. Cause like around that time, like this was before you could really get stuff online at all. And you had to go to the store to get the Star Wars action figures, the starting lineup figures. I'll try and wrap this up. I know it's getting late for you, Tim. But anyway, and so Mark said like they basically were cramming everybody into the thing, and like right when they were about to open the store, like people were all frenzied, but they were excited and it wasn't so bad. Then they decide like the councilman of the town of Uniondale was going to make a speech. So he goes there, and then everyone's getting like fed up now because now it was supposed to open an hour ago, and this guy's talking, and then he brings band in or something from the local high school to perform, and like so now by the time they open the store up, everyone is such a fever pitch of excitement. They go barreling in. They said they all go running back towards the action figure spots, and like as they're turning the corner, like I guess one of the guys actually that Mark knew, it was one of the nicer guys that we knew in there, accidentally bumped into him, and Mark went flying into the racks of some of the action figures. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? He goes, did anyone help you up? He goes, no, they were just like reaching over his head. Poor Mark is literally there bleeding. Oh my gosh. Because he hit his chin on one of the racks or something. I remember I saw him later that night. I like took him out to dinner because he was so upset, and he literally looked like he got into a fight.
Oh my gosh. That's why I don't go out
there. But again, yeah. So that's why the reason why I'm saying this, because it was all these stories. I have so many of these, but one Black Friday one that does stand out involved Mark also. It was Circuit City back in the day was having a sale on, I think it was the first Battlefront game for like PlayStation 2. Remember the Star Wars Battlefront? It was $12. You could get it. And it was a Black Friday sale at Circuit City. So we got there early. And I remember, like, I think I was driving, I guess, and I pulled. Oh no, Mark was driving, and he pulled up, and he was just gonna have me sit in the car, and he was gonna go run in and go look to see if they had them, and if not, we're gonna move on to the other Circuit City and the other stores. We had a whole plan. We pulled up. Mark just like was about to bolt out of the car, and I swear to God, this I don't know what possessed me, but because I wasn't really looking out that way, but I just, as he was about to get out of the car, I said, wait, Mark, and I grabbed his shoulder, and a car went flying by full speed.
Oh my God.
He would have stepped out. He would have been killed. It went by so, and I remember he just looked at me like, holy shit. And I was like, oh my God, because I wasn't like consciously pulling him in. Like I just grabbed him. It was like one of these like subconscious things. I just grabbed him like out of somehow the corner of my eye and the back of my mind sensed something bad, and I grabbed him, and the car went flying by like a second later, like into the parking lot. And it was like, yeah, so it's like that's the one really strong memory I remember from Black Friday, because how do you forget that?
Crazy,
you know. But yeah, I know we kind of went way off tangent, but this is a way off tangent episode, and we haven't given you an episode in a couple of weeks, so I figured you deserve a nice long one here. Episode. But yeah, you got a little bit of everything in this episode, but yeah, so that was it. Yeah, I'm really digging these fan topic
I love
questions.
These. Yeah, I think these are great. Yeah. So so we'll be back next. We're going to start our Christmas movies. We promise.
Yes. And I think we've now narrowed down the three.
Yeah,
right?
we got the three that we're going to do. So we're going to be doing Christmas horror for the rest of the year, and then we'll have our
We got a couple of interviews lined up already. Which
we got more
really
interviews.
Cool.
We're going to take our our typical year-end break. We'll take our holiday break, and then we'll be back for season 8 at the first start of the new year. So.
Yeah, and season 8's going to be a big one because our 300th episode is coming. Oh, and while you're listening to this, I should announce it too. You'll see it on social media. Already got announced, but we'll have more details by the time you're hearing this. But don't tune in next Friday night for our watch party with Jeff Whitmire. We're doing a double feature of Anna the Apocalypse and the Yule Log, the Adult Swim Yule Log that we love so much. We're going to be doing a watch along on Twitter, unfortunately, because we can't. Not enough people are on the other services yet, so we're still on Twitter. But it's going to be Friday, December 8th, starting 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not sure which movie we're doing first yet. We haven't discussed that, but it's going to be both those movies. We're going to have a lot of kind of fun surprises along with it. So we're going to we did announce the time already and everything like that on social media, but we're going to have more details over the weekend released about what's going to go on. So it's going to be a fun, festive night.
All right, guys. So we'll see you back here soon.
See ya.